Welcome to the Veterinary Marketing Podcast, where it's all about how to attract, engage, and retain clients to your veterinary practice using digital marketing. My name is Brandon Breashears. Thank you so much for taking the time to listen to today's episode. I'm so excited about today's episode. This is a bucket list episode for me because we are talking to the amazing Derral Eves. If you don't know who Derral is, he's probably one of the best marketers in the world, just generally. He definitely deserves to be in the Hall of Fame. If he's not, I actually don't know if he is in the Hall of Fame. But to give you a quick rundown of who Derral is and what he's about, number one, he is obsessed with YouTube and video marketing. He is the coach and mentor to Mr. Beast, who is the most popular YouTuber on earth. So that's amazing. Number one, he is the founder of Vid Summit, the video marketing summit that has experts from all around the world come and speak every single year. I really want to go to Vid Summit. It's legitimately one of the coolest conferences ever. He is the author of the YouTube Formula, best-selling book all about YouTube. You need to go get this book if you're interested in YouTube at all. It is fantastic. I've taken Derral's courses through Channel Jumpstart, his Channel Jumpstart program, and I've learned so much about how to approach digital marketing, especially with the way that ads are going in the future. Creative is only getting more and more important. Not only does Derral have all of those accolades, he's also an executive producer for The Chosen, which he's been directly involved with the crowdfunding of that and raised record revenue for that project. He's been involved with the Squatty Potty, Purple Mattress, and Poopery, those very viral commercials that were out on YouTube, responsible for billions of dollars in sales. I believe they were the most successful ads ever created. And so the list just goes on. Derral is truly a legend in digital marketing. And so we're very lucky to have him here today on the podcast. And obviously, I'm excited about it. I was definitely excited to talk with Derral. So thankful that he decided to come on the podcast. So before we begin, we have two sponsors for today's episode, and then we're going to jump right in. Are you looking to get better SEO ranking for your veterinary practice? Probably everyone I know that runs a veterinary hospital would be benefited from having better local SEO. And that's why I want to give you some free tools from one of today's sponsors. It is whitespark.ca. If you go to veterinarymarketingpodcast.com/SEO, that's veterinarymarketingpodcast.com/SEO, you can sign up to get a free account to give you some amazing SEO tools. Whitespark gives you everything that you need for better local SEO. If you haven't heard the episode I did with Darren Shaw, be sure to go back and look at it. He is the founder and owner of this company. It is fantastic. They have Google Business Profile Management, local rank tracking, local citation finder, reputation builder. They even have professional SEO services if that's something that you're looking for. So go to veterinarymarketingpodcast.com/SEO to check out Whitespark and the free tools that they have available for you. You won't be disappointed. They're really cool. Let me know what you think too. If you need help with any of that, please don't hesitate to reach out. But again, veterinarymarketingpodcast.com/SEO. Have you ever said to yourself, I wish I knew where these clients were coming from? If you've ever been wondering, what is actually driving conversions in your practice, then I have something that I think will be great for you, and that is CallRail. CallRail is a fantastic tool that allows you to measure and see where your conversions are coming from and which of the calls and call sources are driving clients into your practice. CallRail makes it really simple to not only see where your calls are coming from, but the AI tools that they have that track and record the conversation so that you can assign outcomes to the calls is amazing. I highly suggest all of the clients that I have use CallRail. And if you've ever wondered where are my clients coming from, you can try CallRail out for 2 weeks for free. If you go to veterinarymarketingpodcast.com/CallRail, you'll be able to try CallRail for yourself and finally know where your clients are coming from. Thank you so much, Derral, for being on today's podcast. I can't tell you how excited I am to talk to you. And I'm excited for the audience to hear what you're going to be sharing today too. So for those who don't know you, could you just introduce yourself really quickly? And
Yeah, father of five, live in Southern Utah, small town, USA, and I'm addicted to YouTube. So that is true from every aspect. So I started a business in '99, did an agency, worked with mom and pop shops all around the United States, helping them generate traffic and then convert that traffic into money. Come 2005, discovered YouTube and found my jam, and basically went all in on that. Where we were ranking videos on Google and getting phones to ring and traffic, and then ultimately led to what I do today, which is audience development. Building audiences around content, around information, around business, and then convert that into money. And so that's what I've been doing pretty much since 2005. So it's been a few years.
Yeah, it's definitely been a few years. You've done amazing.
Yeah.
I think some of the most amazing things when it comes to video. So veterinarians, they want to get better at YouTube. That's something that I hear consistently. And surprisingly, there's not that many people that are veterinarians that are on YouTube as big as you'd think. And that's actually one of their kind of biggest complaints, is that they have all these people that are making content that are not necessarily like sound medical advice,
Right,
but that are really good at making videos. And so they get seen more than they do. When it comes to specifically YouTube, because I get this question all the time, should we be on YouTube? What should we be doing on YouTube? I think the answer is yes, but it's kind of difficult because YouTube is not set up necessarily for local business.
Well, I would disagree with that. I think it is set up for local businesses, is the way that you kind of approach it. So for me, when asking, should we be on YouTube or not, it's a case by case matter. I think it's like, what can you use it for? But I don't know if your audience knows this or anything, but YouTube started as a dating website, and that, they launched. But what happened in May, some of the most viral videos at the time in May of 2005 were animal videos, cat videos, dog videos, that literally took the internet by storm. So I'm like saying, hey, there's not an audience for animal content. I would say this was built on animal content. I think the internet was built on animal content as well. And so it's just more, how do you position yourself to show what you love, and then also that you care? I mean, because I have a brother-in-law that is a vet, and people come and spend a ridiculous amount of money, to save their pet or whatever, or go through some procedure. And it's like family to them. And so for me, there's a lot of opportunities to position it, and there's a lot of awareness that could be done. It's just taking a proactive step of saying, hey, I want more visibility and around the things that I love. And there's an audience for it, believe it or not, on YouTube.
Definitely. I think there's a huge audience, right? A lot of veterinarians are, when they're looking at, the marketing that they do, they want to have some kind of tangible return on investment. And I think there's just huge return on investment in terms of skill, in terms of connecting with audience, even though it might not be people that are hyper local. But when it comes to creating content and video specifically for local business, because you see all of the different types of video placements out there, do you think that people should be focused on one platform first? Should they take a platform first approach, or do you think like a content type approach first?
I like video very specifically, and I always push for it because it's the easiest way to communicate. To do written form, people have to read it, and it has to be in a certain way. And then two, are they glancing at it or whatever? And so video is very powerful. I think, short form video is powerful too, if utilized the right way. But it's just more, what are you passionate about? So just to get ROI, completely move that out of your head. What you want to do is bring value. Value will always bring ROI. It just does. And so the more value that you bring, the more that it naturally will engage with people, and they'll want to share it. And if you can get that feedback loop to happen, that is kind of the secret of success. So let me just give you an example, because I've literally worked with mom and pop shops, the beginning of my career, very, very in depth. And it's no different than any other brand outside of, they're just a little bit more budget conscious of what they spend. But people are still trying to reach the audience that's there. I have a student of mine. He's actually Pretty amazing. He sells used office furniture. Okay, so like we're talking like he buys used furniture and sells used furniture. So it's like, how boring is that, right?
Yeah, that's pretty boring.
And yet he's done, when you really start to compound it, just because he has a presence on YouTube, he would have anywhere between 20,000 people on his live stream. Okay, and all he's talking about is used office equipment, and he's done $20 million in a year.
Wow. That's wild.
And it all came from his only source that it comes from is from YouTube. Like, he doesn't do any other marketing outside of some email stuff, but the email segmentation is so small. But the only reason why they're on the email is because they found out about him on YouTube. So for me, I just don't accept, you can't do it for his mom and pop shop. One of my businesses that I own, and this is true. There's a guy in my town that is a tow truck driver. And he's like, I want to do YouTube. I want to teach people all about YouTube, of how to do recoveries and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And I'm like, yeah, maybe not so much. And he's like, no, trust me. This is like, I have fun doing it. I want to document it. And I says, well, it could be a totally different way where it's not giving them tips, but it's like, it's about the team going out and rescuing people. Yeah. And that's the entertainment in it. And so it led to us partnering up. And what's crazy is, we just did an event here. We have close to almost 2 million followers right now. But we just did an event here in Southern Utah. We had 18,000 people come
Amazing.
to our town.
That is insane. Town. Is it? It's off-road recovery, like that.
Matt's off-road recovery, but it's
that's an amazing channel.
It's like it can. Now the thing that I love is he's super passionate about. He's super passionate about the off-road and helping people, whatever. And we're still doing that, but just the money made in people coming into a shop. And him selling hoodies and shirts and hats that we have the full gamut of products, including, specialty ropes and stuff like that.
Yeah.
He made more money in a week than he did all year as a tow truck driver. So I think it might pivot you a little bit.
Definitely.
But like in veterinary medicine, I think it's just like you have the love and the passion for, and if you're sharing and bringing value to to help people that they care, that all comes back together. Now you might find another revenue stream that is another avenue for you outside of just the clinical work. And then two, you might be able to bring on more people where you're just more the face, and you have more, vets that come into your clinic. But realistically, it's where people can go and find information, and also connection is the key.
Definitely. Yeah, I think that's such a good point. I don't think most veterinarians know necessarily the power of YouTube, that YouTube could easily replace their practice income and revenue, even if it's several $1 million. Like, it has the potential to do that, which is just probably wild and foreign to them. And I do have a client that is really good at TikTok, and it's really funny because the practice owner, they hired their niece who just got out of college, and so she's younger, and she talks about Facebook and YouTube like old people platforms, which is just funny. But she had 27 million likes on her TikTok channel just from like the hospital content, and I was like, you can make more money with the YouTube channel around this than you probably would with revenue from your hospital operations, which is just crazy. But do you think so? I think YouTube is very different from other platforms. I guess what is your take on that? How different do you think YouTube is from like a TikTok, for example, in terms of having to focus on YouTube versus YouTube and TikTok at the same time?
Yeah. So for me, I love YouTube for multiple reasons. When they started YouTube in 2005, they sold to Google for $1.65 billion in 2006. In 2007, the CEO at the time says, we're never going to create content, and we're reliant on people uploading content. What we're good at now that we have Google is finding the right type of advertiser. And so they went to a model to motivate creators, which was at 2007, 2008, they introduced the partner program.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where if you upload videos and you get engagement and views, that they're going to share revenue with you, which is a really, really big deal. So that alone is the main reason why I would say YouTube first, is because what happened in 2008, and it scaled out to like full platform by about 2011, 2012, but literally 10 years they've been giving creators money.
Mm-hmm.
And so they created, I personally think they created the creator economy where it's coming into it. And the numbers that you make on YouTube is crazy. So I have this is a really good, important point. So I have a student, and he reached out to me for a consult, and he was basically on old enough that he was getting Social Security. But he didn't have retirement. That was his only retirement. And he's like, I'm just barely getting it by. And this is what I love, is he saved up, because he goes, I know I want to be on YouTube. I know I need an hour of my time. Now I'm like for my consults, I bring him down in price, but I'm still like $1,000 an hour. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And it's just like, for me, I knew he went all in on it, and I encouraged him to be a part of my group coaching, the 12 weeks. And I says, this is the sustainable path. You just need to understand YouTube and how to leverage it. And he's like, yeah, I'm going to do it. And all he wanted to do is make $5,000 a month. He goes, if I made $5,000 a month, I would be perfect. I live in an RV. I drive it where I want to go, and I'm going to just do it. So he invested in himself. He took his savings out, went in through that. And he was hell bent on getting that $5,000 a month.
Mm-hmm.
And he was going to learn YouTube, whatever. So he's like 67 years old. He's editing on an iPad. It's not the best edit in the world, but he understood his audience. And so during the pandemic, he just went on this little adventure. This is the beginning of his channel.
Yeah.
And people loved it. They loved the hour and a half, commentary of him going and exploring and stuff. And it was so crazy. And what makes me really, really happy is that $5,000 a month was achieved. And you're thinking, oh, that's so great. Well, he did $50,000 a month by himself. And he's been doing that for over a year, like by himself. It's like $50K. And he's like, it's like life changing. Like he's now, in my inner circle or whatever, but he's like, it's life changing. I cannot believe it is, whatever,
Yeah.
And I'm here to tell you, is he just barely getting started? Like he will be doing hundreds of thousands of dollars a month just by himself. And I'm trying to encourage him to get an editor, but he's still wanting to edit,
That's hilarious.
It's funny, but it's like there is so much opportunity. And then here he is, just basically does adventures in an RV. And so you might say, well, that doesn't really translate to me. And I'm like, well, no, it does. You just need to think there is an audience for everything, especially when it comes to things that are viral on YouTube, which is animals. I'm here to tell you, animals. I can't tell you enough. There's a lot of opportunity, and people care for animals, and they will click on cute little animal videos. Now, for me, that's why I love YouTube first, and instead of TikTok, because even on TikTok, you get, 1 billion views, and you're probably only making a few $1,000s. Versus if you get 1 billion views on YouTube, it could be close to $1 million. So it just really depends on where that volume is. So
definitely makes sense. So I think a lot of the difficulty that people have with YouTube is that they don't understand kind of what YouTube wants from video so that it will be successful. But YouTube wants your videos to be successful if it's the right kind. So maybe could you give me your top 3 things that YouTube needs for a video to be successful?
Even give you top 3 things. So YouTube has created an AI back in 2013, and all the AI is looking for is what people want to watch. And they're looking at, oh, you know what? Derral likes to watch K-pop. I don't really, but it's just like, they're gonna go and say, oh, I like that type of content, and they're gonna give me more options to click on it. And the more I click on it, the more information that YouTube has. And so YouTube's more about kind of the preference of and what people are into, and then they find the other content out there and put it in front of you. And so for me, it's just to try to predict what the viewer wants to watch. And so YouTube's very close on what people like. And so I'm here to tell you, there are certain people that like dogs over cats. Okay, that's great. Believe it or not, there is a channel and I know this because I did the consult way a little over 10 years ago, but there's a channel that makes their content for dogs. So when mom and dad leave the house and the dog needs something, there's content for that dog. They just put it on and it streams and all that other stuff. And they make millions and millions of dollars just communicating with dogs. You know what I'm saying?
Dogs can't skip the mid-rolls.
They cannot skip the mid-rolls. But it's crazy what it is. But what I'm saying is YouTube's really geared and understands that. And would find, oh, this would be similar for this type of content or this type of their viewing behavior. And so it works really, really well where it's able to identify it. So for me, it's like, it doesn't matter if you're doing large animal medicine, if you're doing small animal medicine, it's more about the journey and the story and caring and giving back. That's what people want. And realistically, when it comes to animals, like I mean, I grew up on a farm. I had a couple dogs, you know, so we had a lot of large animal encounters. We'll just say it that way, you know. And I just vowed I just didn't want anything to do with animals. I got kids. So I'm like, that's enough for me because I lived off of that. But I have friends and even family that they lose a pet and it's like they lost their kid, you know. And so for me, it's like they're going to do things that they're into. In fact, one of the biggest channels is a dog training channel. It's one of my students too, McKenton Dogs. I mean, they make so much money on just giving tips on how to train your dog. And so there's just an audience for everything. And so my whole thing is just take a step back and realize what got you into business in the first place. And generally it's a couple ways. It might be a family business that is kind of handing it down or whatever. Others are like, no, I have a fascination for, or I really love working with animals. You know, that's the whole thing. But it comes back down to it. And then I would just look at, okay, what value can I bring consistently that would build a brand? And the build a brand portion is where the value prop is. So like the bigger that you build the brand, YouTube can go find people that actually like that type of content. And the way that you're consistent on it, YouTube's going to do its thing and it's going to grow your audience, which actually grows revenue too.
Definitely. Yeah. And there's an audience for large animal or small animal. I have one of my friends and clients, his name's Dr. Cody Krillman. He has 60,000 subscribers on his channel. And it's amazing how much his YouTube channel has helped him too. Because he's got people, one of the things that's hard with veterinarians right now is that there's a shortage of vets. And so it's hard to find people who want to work for you. And because people know him, especially younger people that watch him on YouTube, they want to work for him. And so he gets people like crazy. So there's even way more benefits than that. So if somebody is doing YouTube, how long do you think that they should do YouTube before they say, I'm not good at this and I should try something else? Because you have limited time.
I wouldn't probably phrase it that way. I think it's just like, it's like if you're doing it for to get the information out or because you're passionate about something, you'll want to do it regardless of what you're doing, whether it gets 2 views or 10 views or 10 million views. It's like you're passionate about it. I think we get motivated for other reasons behind that. But you generally, when I work with content creators, brands or businesses, they're really passionate about something. And we try to lean in on that. And then 2, it's just more finding the audience, you know, that works. And so there's like an attorney that was a client of mine. Well, is still a client of mine. He was trying to help preparing law students for law school. So it's like, hey, if you're taking the LSAT, I want to prep you. I'll make money, you know, by me teaching you. And it was course driven, but he really loved the law. Right. And so he had this idea that he wanted to break down the law by just talking about what was happening in pop culture. Like he'd take an episode of Suits or whatever and just kind of dig into it. Is this true or not or whatever, you know? And when I reached out, I says that's your channel. Like I would put everything else on another channel and just do this. And now, I mean, it's crazy how big he got. Like he's millions and millions and millions of subscribers, you know, billions of views. And that's the type of content he is. Well, what he did on the backside is his law firm actually extended. Like he actually has one of the biggest law firms right now. And all it is like, he got the audience and then he'll put the right type of attorney with it. And it's under his law firm and he's making a ton of money now. And it's just crazy. It's crazy. So
definitely crazy. I think, yeah, it is probably going to grow your practice in ways that you never imagined there. I know that there's a lot of veterinarians who've created content already on their channel. When you talk about going through and setting up your bucket system and figuring out what niche you're going to be in and how you're going to create content moving forward, do you think it's okay for people to start, tactically, should they start a new channel completely, or should they start on something that's older? Because most practices have channels with, maybe several dozen videos, but they just haven't ever done anything with them.
Yeah. It's like if you have no views on it or if you have minimal views, it's just what is your new content strategy? So it doesn't matter if it's new channel, old channel. I prefer that whatever it is, like it's easy for people to understand what the channel's about and the consistent value that you're bringing. So, but it's like I've done it both ways. I'm not worried about that.
Okay, got it. And when it comes to creating your buckets that you're starting off with to begin for a veterinary hospital, do you think they should go just far more broad, or should they get more niched, maybe to stand out in a specific niche and then go more broad? What's your thoughts on that?
That's a tough one. Just because people love what they're into,
Sure.
and I think it's just like find a lane that's going to be the most consistent with you. So if it's small animals, I would probably pick one of the small animals, dogs or cats. I'd probably do it. I wouldn't probably do both. Okay. But it's just like, okay, this is the vertical that I do. Even though that you do all this other stuff, you're probably focusing more on that. Because then it's like, oh, if they're dog people and they love that it's talking about dog stories. If they're cat people, it's like that. I'd probably do it that way, unless it was the magnetic vet that is more personable and it's more about him and him or her and interacting with their practice and people and animals. Then I think it'd be fine. But you'd have to kind of pick a lane, sure. From my point of view. So
definitely. And how niche do you think is too niche? Because I think people are a little bit self-conscious about that in particular. Like some people are like turtles, but they think, oh, it's too small of a niche. Do you think there is such a thing as too small of a niche?
Not really. I think like turtles, for example, like that would explode on YouTube. Just
yeah, I think so too. But people, because they don't get a lot of turtles, they think nobody really wants turtle content. But I know a few vets who specialize in them, and it's cool.
Seriously, I would definitely do that for sure. So
and yeah, definitely. And surprisingly too, videos like abscess popping are incredibly popular, and it's really gross. And people think I shouldn't post that because it's so gross. And those are some of the videos.
An audience, it's just that shock and awe. So
definitely. Well, the last kind of question that I have for you is when it comes to reviewing data and the content that you're putting out, how often do you think people should be reviewing their data as they are creating content?
I tell my students a couple times a month. I think you can get hyper fixated on something and it will stall you out. So it's just more, hey, maybe at the beginning of the month, middle of the month, you take time to review, is this working? What can I improve on? You should do a hyper analysis of is the video working or not? And that's what I teach my students is how to look at that thing to say, oh, okay, it's super engaging. Because you might think it's the most amazing video, and your mom thinks it's the most amazing video because you're in it, but it really isn't a good video. And so we're always just trying to improve. And as you start to grow an audience, you can start seeing what they like, what they don't like, or how to approach that said content via video. That's kind of the key. So
got it. And do you think that retention is the most important metric still, or click-through rate, or all of them?
No. So it's like I wouldn't say retention, because if they never click on it, they're never going to retain, right? So you could have 100% retention, and yet the video is never going to take off. What you have to do is have kind of combination where they see the title and thumbnail and the video itself, right? And they're like, oh, I'm interested in that. I'm very curious on that. They click on it, okay? And then the retention. And then the most important thing is what they do next. If they kind of dive deeper with you, that's the perfect sign of, hey, you're bringing valuable content, not just in a video, but multiple videos. And that's what YouTube's looking for.
Got it. So multiple videos down a rabbit hole type thing.
Right.
Makes total sense.
We've all done that. Like we all have done that, right? So
Absolutely. That totally makes sense. Well, do you have any other tips or tricks that you think would be really valuable that you're seeing that you think are going to be big deals?
One of my favorite examples is I can't do YouTube, and there is a wrangler in Wyoming. And all he wanted to do is just give manly advice to this generation. And he literally goes over, hits record, and then sits down, smokes a cigar, and has a conversation with the people. He has millions and millions of views of him just talking about life. And he's a character. He's not very animated. He just is very composed. He's just a rough, tough guy that cares for this generation. And it's like, you can see how unscripted it is. He's just coming from the heart. And then you can see that it's not very well edited. But he's just having real conversations, and he's making a ton of money just helping people, and that's exploded his wrangler business, where people are coming in and they want to do the full ranch experience. Okay, great. That's awesome. But it's all about that passion and love. So for me, don't get in your head. It's just like, if you're passionate about something, let's just turn the camera on and share that passion with others. And then just know the lanes. Like, you can't just be all over the place. You have to be around a topic. That's how YouTube works. And so if it's about, dogs, then go in depth of funny dog stories, or things that kind of been crazy, or whatever that is, or reacting to, or giving insight in. That's what it's all about.
Definitely makes total sense. And one last question that I thought of, because I get this question a lot and would love to get your take. So if you have your YouTube channel and you're doing mostly long form content, and you're creating shorts on Instagram or something, people really want to repurpose stuff for YouTube.
No. I just say, if it's doing Instagram, do Instagram. If you're doing YouTube, do YouTube.
Yeah.
It never translates over. Everyone wants it to do. It's just a different audience. And so I would do short form vertical content on YouTube, but it would be, I'm doing that on YouTube. And then you're like, I'm doing this on Instagram. It's just different audiences. Like, I can guarantee you, if you do it on Instagram, you're going to actually have a higher female audience than you are on YouTube. It just is. That's the way it is. Right. And so understanding that females respond differently to what males respond to, they just do. And so YouTube's more of a male audience. It will kind of be blended, but it is skewed more male. And so it's just like, okay, who are you talking to? How do you talk to them? And how do you bring them value?
Got it. And do you think that people should focus on either long form or short, or both in that?
I personally would want to do both. I think short form is great. I love to consume it as a viewer, but I don't even remember who did what. I can't tell you, my favorite short form creator is this. Like, no, it's a funny video. And then I moved on to the next. And you don't have an option. You do have an option to go deeper, but rarely do people do that.
Sure. So totally makes sense. Well, thank you so much, Derral. And can you tell, how often do your jump starters go and start? I remember I did it a couple years ago, and it was a group coaching at the same time. But how often is that going on?
Yeah, I mean, about every 12 weeks we start a new cohort, and so we're just getting ready in May to do the next one. But yeah, it's every 12 weeks.
It's an amazing program, so I think everybody should go check it out for sure.
Appreciate that.
Appreciate it so much, Derral. Thank you so much for your time today.
Great.